Well, looks like I'm live again. So far, so good. And yeah, just everybody out there that's out about. Let me turn this AC off here. I can't even hear myself think. Okay. Hi, Kim. How's it going? Being safe out there? How's it going, Mike? Hey, Mike. Talia? Dylan? Well, I ain't much of a radio TV broadcaster, but I just want to draw into light of what's been going on in my life, and just what I've seen from a godly perspective, I guess, and I hear that there's a lot of struggling that's going on with people who have been in the program, who are not only here in the Atlantic East, but also are across the country, actually. And we're seeing that struggles that we go through as well, particularly in the area of when it comes to relapse times of the mistaken beliefs. I've discovered what we have about that and reflecting on my own life. I'm thinking about this, having over a year clean and sober, a year over 4 times. I've realized a different truth about myself when it comes to the mistaken beliefs, and in reading this book called Staying Sober by Terence Gorski. It's a little bit retro. I know it's spelled backwards there. My camera's kind of flipped, but if you got a mirror on that, you can probably, be able to know that says Staying Sober. Right. But anyways, it's by Terence Gorski, and it's a relapse prevention book, and he was reading about the mistaken beliefs about motivation when it comes to relapse. And, one of the things that he did mention was that if I relapse, well, then I'm not motivated to recover. And another one, he says, I will recover when I hurt enough as a result of my alcohol and drug use. And another one, if I relapse, I have not hurt enough to want to stay sober. And that's the thing that got me as well. Because when I said, I thought about that, I said, you know what, that is so true. After, going back out so many times, I convinced myself over and over this repetitive belief of saying, you know what, it's going to be different this time. I can handle it this time. I can drink and have a good time like so-called normal people. But over and over in time, that mistaken belief has considerably, bit me in the arse quite a few times. But the conclusion about that is that relapse-prone people, such as myself, we need to hurt more in order to interrupt that relapse pattern. And with my own experience, the hurting part was so hurting that it became to the point of where it was self-condemning. Where I felt like I wasn't worthy enough to even just be alive, to live. So, it's a devastating conclusion. He goes on to say for relapse-prone people, such as myself. I mean, we have to be careful. We have to always be on our guard. I've said this over and over. If you think even for a moment that you're standing firm, that you got it all put together, you better watch out, because behind there you stand is a gigantic cliff. Right behind you. I mean, you're looking forward, that's good, go forward for that, but you watch out, because we do have a definite adversary that's out to get us. So, in looking at that, I said that just punched me right in the face and said, you know what? I believe that about myself in the past. I have believed that so many times. That's why, one of the reasons why I've gone back and have gone back to my old ways. It's basically you're destroying your self-worth, as he goes on to say. Self-esteem, basically that produces more shame and guilt, right? And with those feelings, what I had to do is I had to sort of plug them up. I didn't want to think about them. I didn't want to think about them all over again. So what am I going to do? Is I'm going to drink. I'm going to go use drugs. I'm going to try to get rid of that feeling for temporarily I don't feel it, then, the next day when I don't have it, all those feelings of shame and guilt and all that come back to me, so I have to cover it up again and do it again over and over and over. So, yeah, so reading this book, it just blew me away. I have accepted, that I can't safely take a drink or use, like, even when it comes, like, even like an aspirin, I have to watch myself, stuff like that, when I have a cold, for example, taking Dayquils or NyQuils or anything that would have something like a substance, of using those things, right? We have to be careful with that, because we don't want to open the door to Satan and, again, be led astray, because what the devil wants to do with chemically dependent people, it doesn't matter what you're addicted to, but what the devil wants to do is he wants to take you back to the place where you were before when you decided to make that moment of change. He wants to take you back to that moment, and he'll do it in any way possible that he can, and in a deceiving way of where you're not aware of it. There are many different ways he can do it. He could do it through relationships. He could do that through another person that's in your life. He could feed through a circumstance, a situation, institutions, places where you go, anything at all. It could be a pet dog, anything, any type of thought or thing that would lead you back to that place where, for me, where it was behind a dumpster, sleeping beside my own feces, literally. Some of you might want to flip the channel, that's kind of gross, I know. But that's literally what I was doing before I came to Teen Challenge here in Atlantic and decided, you know what? I've had enough. That's it. And, so, I mean, people, I believe, like, we'll always have that notion on the forefront of our minds, you know what? Yeah, it was like the thought of that lifestyle is always there because we went through it. And we always have to be on our guard. So I pray for all those who are struggling out there, who have maybe gone back out, had a slip, whatever. Those people who are thinking about having a slip, or want to come back and turn around their life. I just pray in Jesus' name that God would see you through any difficulty whatsoever. I mean, any difficulty is like nothing's too difficult for God at all. I mean, there was a time I didn't believe that. There was a time, I was out down in the dumps, but there is hope. There is hope in Jesus Christ. And there is hope, for your life. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You just pray in Jesus' name that there is a better day. Once that vision clicks in, I'm looking at certificates on my wall right now, and it's unbelievable of how God has saw me through. You were there. Some were there when I received a GED certificate. Some were there in the beginning when I saw this come across. I saw that when I got on the bus. And sat there and cracked open my last six-pack, I saw that certificate being given to me on the stage. I saw that vision. I had that vision. I said, you know what? I'm going all the way with this, no matter what. I don't care. Determination was there. Absolutely. Not to bring glory to myself, to my name, but to bring glory to His name. Yeah, it's for Him and for Him only. It's... God is calling me to different things, and I'm praying for what is the next step for me in my life. What is the next step? Where do you want me to go? So it's kind of a blank stare when I look past July. I'm thinking about it. There's a number of options that are possible. And God is just showing that to me so much. And I just want to thank you all for watching. I know this is kind of long. Hey, Thanks, Kim. Hey, and Rocco, how you doing? Hey there, Derek. And I just want to thank you all for watching and listening. And I pray that God will bless you tonight, through this evening, and throughout the rest of the week as well. So, we're doing all right here in Teen Challenge. And everybody's right now is safely tucked in their beds downstairs. So I'm just going to play this guitar nice and quietly for you. Because I don't want to wake anybody up downstairs. Alright, that's enough for me. Alright, you have a good night. Take care. God bless. Love yous all.